How did the Silk Road actually work? History for sleep. Tonight, we drift together into the quiet folds of history, where an ancient web of paths once connected distant worlds. The Silk Road was never just one line across the earth, but a gentle network of trails, carrying silk, spices, and ideas like whispers on the wind. As you rest, imagine the hush of deserts at dusk, the sway of caravans beneath endless stars, and the soft hum of markets where voices from many lands mingled as one. This story is not about battles or rulers, but about movement, connection, and the dream of reaching beyond the horizon. You are listening to Mythoria, a place where history settles like a lullaby, and the past becomes a gentle companion for your night. Now, let us begin. How did the Silk Road actually work? History for sleep. How did the Silk Road actually work? A road of dreams. You step onto a quiet path where east and west once touched. This is no single road, but a web of dusty trails, mountain passes, and whispered rivers of trade. You feel its pulse beneath your feet, carrying not just goods, but hopes. You find yourself standing at the edge of an ancient horizon where the earth seems to stretch endlessly in every direction. The air is still, the sky painted with pale tones of dawn, and before you lies a path, not one straight road, but 1,000 hidden trails that weave together like threads of a tapestry. This is what people once called the Silk Road. And though it was never truly a single road, it feels now like one long dream unfolding step by step beneath your feet. You breathe in slowly. Imagine merchants of long ago waking with the sunrise, brushing dust from their robes, tightening the ropes around heavy bundles of silk, jade, or spices. Their voices are low, almost whispers, yet the sound of preparation fills the air. A caravan does not move quickly. It rises like a tide, little by little, until the entire group begins its slow march forward. You feel as if you are part of that tide, carried gently along. The Silk Road was not carved in stone, not drawn on maps with certainty. Instead, it was a shifting, living body, a collection of countless routes across deserts, mountains, and fertile valleys. Traders adapted to seasons, to dangers, to the needs of the journey. In your mind, you can see the road as veins of the earth itself, carrying life and possibility from one distant land to another. Goods flowed, yes, but so did voices, faces, and memories. Pause here and let your heart rest on that thought. The road was not just about silk or wealth or trade. It was about the deep human longing to connect, to move beyond the horizon, to touch the unknown and bring back something precious. Every footstep was a prayer. Every mile carried both hope and fear. You walk a little further in imagination. The dust rises softly around your ankles. The smell of animals and fabric, of leather straps and oiled wood, lingers in the air. Behind you, someone hums a tune from their homeland. Ahead of you, the line of camels sways like ships on a golden sea of sand. You realize that this road is not one person's story. It is a chorus, a hum that has lasted through centuries. In the quiet rhythm of walking, your mind drifts. Think of the silk itself, light as breath, shimmering in the sun. In distant Rome, it would one day be worn by senators and nobles who marveled at its softness, not knowing the countless hands that had touched it before theirs. Silk was not just fabric. It was the memory of mulberry leaves, of weavers in China, of caravans that carried it slowly, gently, step after step. You can almost feel the threads between your fingertips now, delicate yet strong. The road you walk is heavy with footsteps of the past. Some were hurried, filled with ambition. Others were slow, tired, carrying burdens too great for their shoulders. But together they shaped a path that connected empires, kingdoms, and humble villages. You sense that the earth remembers them all. And you, here in this moment, are remembering too. Not through history books, not through charts, but through the soft beating of your heart as it listens to echoes carried on the wind. The Silk Road begins not with a single step, but with a dream that human beings have always carried, to reach out, to explore, to share, to discover what lies beyond. That dream, like the road itself, stretches before you now. You pause, you listen, and you wonder. When a road is built not of stone, but of dreams and dust, what stories still linger within it, waiting to be heard? Caravans in the desert. Imagine long lines of camels moving slowly under burning skies. Their footsteps press into the sand like soft drum beats. Each bundle of silk, spice, or jade is more than wealth. It is a story, a secret, a prayer. You walk with them in silence. The desert stretches before you like an endless sea of gold. Its waves are dunes, rising and falling in slow, quiet shapes sculpted by the wind. And into this silence, you see them. Caravans, long lines of camels moving as if time itself has slowed. Their bodies sway with each step, steady and unhurried, like ships drifting across a horizon without water. You listen carefully. There is no roar, no noise. Only the soft press of hooves against sand, the occasional groan of leather straps, the jingle of metal buckles. Every sound is fragile, quickly swallowed by the vast emptiness around you. Yet together, these small sounds form a rhythm, a heartbeat of the caravan that keeps moving forward. Each camel carries bundles tied with rope, heavy rolls of silk, boxes of jade, jars filled with saffron, pepper, and cinnamon. Goods that seem ordinary when seen up close, but extraordinary when you imagine their journey. Each bundle has traveled across mountains and rivers, across countless hands and eyes, to arrive here in the desert. You feel their weight not just as cargo, but as stories. Pause for a moment. Imagine the people walking alongside the camels, their faces shaded with cloth, their lips dry with dust. They come from distant lands, China, Persia, India, Arabia. Their languages differ, their clothes differ, yet here, on the road, they are bound by the same rhythm. They walk together, step by step, following the same horizon. The desert teaches patience. A caravan cannot rush. If it moves too quickly, it exhausts the animals. If it lingers too long, it risks running out of water or food. The pace is steady, balanced, respectful of both human and nature. You can almost feel the heat on your skin, the dryness in your throat, the longing for shade. Yet you also sense the quiet strength that comes from enduring this journey. At night, when the sun disappears and the desert cools, the caravan rests. Fires are lit, casting small circles of light against the endless dark. People gather, sharing stories in low voices, chewing dates, drinking water carefully measured. You sit among them, listening not just to the words, but to the pauses between them, the silence that holds everything together. In the distance, stars scatter like grains of salt across a black tablecloth. To the travelers, these stars are more than decoration. They are guides. The night sky tells them direction, marking the invisible path that leads from one land to another. You tilt your head upward and wonder how many journeys have been guided by these same stars. How many footsteps have trusted their silent light? The desert caravan is not only about trade. It is about trust, patience, and survival. Without each other, no one could endure the endless sands. Every traveler depends on the group, on the camels, on the rhythm of shared effort. In this way, the caravan itself becomes a moving community, fragile yet resilient, bound not by walls, but by the long road ahead. You walk with them in your mind, feeling the weight of dust in your lungs, the warmth of the sun on your back, and the quiet hope that lies in every bundle carried forward. and as you watch the line of camels fade slowly into the shimmering horizon, you ask yourself, what drives people to keep walking, to keep enduring when the desert seems endless? Markets and meeting places. At crossroads and oases, tents bloom like flowers in dry soil. Here, merchants bargain, languages mingle, and scents of cinnamon drift through the air. You listen, realizing that trade is more than exchange. It is human connection. After days of dust and silence, the caravan finally reaches an oasis. At first, it is only a shimmer on the horizon, a faint promise of water and shade. But as you draw closer, the scene unfolds. Tents rising like bright blossoms against the sand, stalls of fabric swaying in the breeze, the smell of firewood and spices carried gently through the air. You step inside this living market, and the world suddenly feels alive again. The noise is not harsh, but layered, a low hum of voices, each speaking in different tongues, yet blending into a rhythm that feels like music. Traders call out their offers. Children laugh as they chase each other between stalls, and animals grunt softly as they rest near shaded corners. After the stillness of the desert, these sounds feel like water, flowing and refreshing. You pause at a stall draped with silk. The fabric glimmers, light catching on every fold, and you imagine its journey from faraway China. Next to it, a basket of dried figs from Persia, fragrant and sweet. Beyond, jars of pepper and cinnamon from India, their scent warm and sharp, lingering in the back of your throat. Each object is more than a product. It is a fragment of a world far beyond your reach, carried here by patient hands. Markets like this were more than places to buy and sell. They were meeting grounds of worlds. Languages mixed like colors on a canvas. Ideas slipped quietly from one mind to another. A Persian scholar might trade thoughts with a Buddhist monk. An Arab storyteller might share tales with a Chinese merchant. The market was a classroom without walls, where culture itself was the currency. You walk further and notice how carefully people watch each other's gestures, how laughter bridges the gap where words cannot. Trade is not just about coins or goods. It is about trust. One smile, one shared meal, one respectful bow can shape a deal more than silver ever could. You realize that beneath the weight of trade, there is something lighter, the simple act of human connection. The colors overwhelm your eyes. Fabrics in reds, blues, and golds ripple in the wind. Jewelry glints in the sun. Painted pottery, carved ivory, woven baskets, each tells a story of hands that shaped it, of traditions carried forward for generations. To stand in such a place is to feel the heartbeat of the world in one small space. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes and imagine the blend of scents. Roasted lamb over fire, sweet honey cakes cooling on clay plates, the earthy aroma of fresh herbs. These smells wrap around you, comforting, grounding. Even in this crowded market, you feel a deep calm, as if you are part of something vast yet intimate. Night comes gently, but the market does not fade. Fires are lit, casting golden light over the stalls. Storytellers gather small circles of listeners, weaving tales of heroes, of journeys, of distant empires. Their words rise into the night like sparks, drifting into the same air where the smell of incense and smoke already lingers. You sit among the listeners, letting the stories wash over you, half real, half dream. The marketplace is not eternal. By dawn, the caravans will move again, and the tents will fold back into silence. Yet for this brief moment, it feels timeless, a reminder that even in the harshest landscapes, humans find ways to gather, to share, to build little islands of connection. As you drift away from the fire, preparing to sleep under the wide desert sky, a thought lingers. In every crowded market, in every meeting place, what you find is not just goods, but reflections of yourself in the eyes of strangers. And you wonder, is the true treasure of the Silk Road not silk or spice, but the quiet recognition of shared humanity? Ideas on the wind beyond goods, ideas float across the road like invisible travelers. Buddhism travels east, mathematics west, and stories weave between them. You feel knowledge pass like a gentle breeze, reshaping hearts and minds far away. The market fades behind you, yet something invisible continues its journey. Not the goods carried on camelbacks, not the jars of spices or rolls of silk, but something lighter. Ideas, beliefs, and stories move along the road as if carried on the wind. They have no weight, no form, yet they travel farther than any caravan could ever walk. You imagine a Buddhist monk, his robes the color of saffron, seated quietly at the edge of the road. His voice is calm as he shares teachings with travelers resting nearby. These words travel with the caravan, carried from mouth to ear, from memory to memory, until they find themselves in distant lands where no monk has ever stepped. Belief moves like water, quietly reshaping the soil it touches. From the other side, a Persian scholar joins the journey, holding scrolls of mathematics and astronomy. At night, when the fires glow dim, he points to the stars, tracing their patterns in the sky, explaining numbers that dance like constellations. His knowledge, too, travels, passed from listener to listener, becoming part of a growing web of understanding that stretches across cultures. The Silk Road was not only a path of trade, it was a path of thought. Philosophies, languages, medicine, music, and art all flowed like invisible rivers, shaping new landscapes of the mind. You walk slowly, feeling this exchange as a soft breeze brushing your skin. It is gentle, but it lingers, whispering truths that stay with you long after the words have faded. Pause for a moment. Imagine music drifting from a distant land, the pluck of a lute, the rhythm of a drum. A merchant hums a tune learned in a marketplace far away, and without meaning to, he plants it in another heart. Soon, a new song is born, woven from pieces of many places. Just as winds carry seeds that bloom in foreign soil, so too did the Silk Road carry melodies, ideas, and dreams. Even stories traveled. A tale told by a desert fire in Samarkand might echo years later in a village in Italy, changed and reshaped, yet still carrying the spark of its origin. Stories do not need maps. They ride on voices, on memory, on curiosity. And you realize that what people carried was never just for survival. They carried pieces of themselves, and in doing so, they gave those pieces to the world. You look at the horizon, and you feel the truth. No empire, no kingdom, no village ever remained untouched by these winds. The road bound them together, whether they wished it or not. Through language, through art, through the blending of traditions, the Silk Road stitched humanity into a larger tapestry. At night, lying under the stars, you sense how fragile and powerful this is. Fragile because ideas can be lost, forgotten, erased by war or silence. Powerful because once they are spoken, once they are shared, they can never be fully undone. They remain, quietly alive, in some distant mind or heart. The wind shifts softly around you. You close your eyes and let it brush against your face. It is easy to imagine that what you feel is not only air, but memory itself, still carrying the whispers of monks, scholars, poets, and dreamers. You realize that you too are part of this flow. Even now, in your quiet listening, you are receiving the echo of voices carried across centuries. And as you drift into stillness, you wonder, when ideas move like the wind, invisible yet unstoppable, do they belong to anyone at all, or do they belong to all of us? Shadows and dangers. Yet the Silk Road is not all comfort. Bandits wait in the mountains, empires demand taxes, and storms sweep deserts without warning. You sense the risk in every step, the fragility of human effort against vast landscapes. The road, though filled with dreams and treasures, was never safe. You walk a little further in your mind, and the brightness of markets and the gentleness of ideas give way to something heavier. Shadows follow every caravan. Dangers wait, silent and patient, along the edges of the journey. Bandits hide in the mountains, their eyes sharp, their hands ready. For every caravan carrying silk and spices, there were always others who wished to take them. Travelers spoke of ambushes at narrow passes, of sudden cries in the night, of treasures lost in moments of fear. You imagine the silence of a caravan broken by shouts, the hurried footsteps, the scattering of goods into the dust. Even in dreams, the road reminds you. Wealth attracts risk. But danger was not only human. The land itself could be merciless. Deserts stretched for days without water, where the heat burned the skin and the sand swallowed tracks before the next step could be taken. At night, storms rose suddenly, winds strong enough to blind eyes, to bury paths, to turn the familiar into the unknown. You pause here, and you can almost feel the sting of sand against your cheek, the way the desert tests every traveler's resolve. Mountains, too, stood as both guardians and threats. Snow-covered peaks blocked the horizon, their passes narrow and treacherous. Avalanches could sweep away entire groups. Cold winds froze water in skins and slowed even the strongest camels. To cross these mountains was to gamble with life. Yet still, caravans kept moving. The road demanded courage, and courage was paid in survival. And then there were empires. No road could exist without power watching it. Taxes were collected, tolls demanded, permissions granted or denied. A single emperor's decision could close a route and starve a village of trade. Travelers carried not only goods, but also the weight of politics, the shifting alliances, and the sudden wars that could erupt like storms. You sense the fragility of it all, how easily a path could vanish, not because of sand or snow, but because of human pride. Yet despite these shadows, the caravans did not stop. Perhaps it was because danger itself shaped the road. Bandits created the need for guards and alliances. Deserts created the need for oases, small havens of life. Mountains created the need for ingenuity, for courage, for new paths to be carved. In this way, the Silk Road was always balanced between fragility and resilience. Pause for a breath. Imagine a merchant sitting by a fire after a long day, staring at the flames. His goods are tied, his camels fed, yet his eyes hold worry. He knows tomorrow may bring bandits, storms, or demands from a distant lord. Still, he sits in silence, his hope stronger than his fear. That hope is what carried the Silk Road forward. Danger, after all, has always walked beside human ambition. Without risk, there is no discovery. Without fear, there is no courage. The shadows along the Silk Road remind you of this truth. Every spice that reached a new table, every silk that shone in a distant palace, every story that crossed a border, all were paid for by risk, by footsteps that faced danger and kept moving anyway. The firelight flickers and the shadows dance around you. You close your eyes, hearing the wind outside the tent, feeling the weight of uncertainty pressing gently against your heart, and you ask yourself, is it the treasures that make the road memorable, or the courage of those who walked it in spite of the shadows? The quiet echo. Today, though the road has faded, its spirit lingers. Silk threads still glimmer in museums. Spices still flavor kitchens, and the flow of ideas still shapes your world. You close your eyes, feeling the gentle echo of this ancient road in your own journey. The road fades now. The camels, the markets, the storms, the songs, all drift slowly into memory, like mist dissolving in the morning sun. Yet as you stand in silence, you realize the Silk Road has not truly disappeared. Its stones may have scattered, its tents folded, its caravans long gone, but its spirit lingers, gently woven into the fabric of your own life. Think of the silk itself. Even today, in museums and quiet collections, shimmering cloth tells stories without words. Its touch whispers of mulberry leaves, of patient weavers, of caravans swaying across deserts. Each thread is a memory stretched across centuries. You imagine running your fingers along it, feeling not only the softness, but also the hidden journey inside it. Spices, too, remain. In your kitchen, perhaps in a dish you eat without thought, lies the memory of trade, the warmth of cinnamon in bread, the sharpness of pepper on your tongue. These flavors once traveled on the backs of camels, through storms and danger, across empires. Every taste is an echo of a road that once stitched the world together. Ideas linger as well. The stories, the teachings, the melodies carried on the wind have never stopped moving. They're in your books, in your music, in the very words you speak. Languages borrowed words from one another, religions borrowed symbols, art borrowed shapes and patterns. You live in a world already shaped by these quiet exchanges, whether you notice them or not. Pause here. Breathe. Let your heart rest on the thought that history is not only behind you, it is within you. The Silk Road is not only maps and ruins. It is present in your clothes, your food, your thoughts. The road continues, invisibly, in the way human beings still long to connect, to share, to explore beyond horizons. You imagine yourself sitting now by a window, perhaps at night, listening to the soft hum of distant traffic or the whisper of trees in the wind. In that sound, faint but steady, there is an echo of the caravan's rhythm. The world still moves, still trades, still exchanges ideas. The shapes are different, but the essence is the same. You feel that connection, like a thread tying you gently to people you may never meet. The Silk Road reminds you that nothing truly ends. Paths shift, names change, empires rise and fall. But the longing to reach out, to touch and to be touched by others, is eternal. That longing is alive in you, in your breath, in your dreams. Night deepens around you. Stars appear, the same stars that once guided travelers across deserts and mountains. You look at them, and for a moment, you are both here and there, here in your quiet room, and there on the ancient road, watching the constellations above the tents. Time folds softly, and you sense the continuity of human life across centuries. The road has ended, but the echo remains. It hums gently in the stillness, not loud, not urgent, but steady, like a lullaby from the earth itself. And as your eyes grow heavier, you hold on to this simple truth. The Silk Road was never only about trade. It was about the shared journey of being human, about connection, endurance, and the dream of finding beauty beyond the horizon. You close your eyes. You let the echo carry you, and you wonder, softly, gently, in your own journey, what quiet threads will you leave behind for others to follow? And so, the long road fades into silence. The caravans rest, the markets grow quiet, and the winds that once carried stories now soften into memory. The Silk Road was never only about silk or spice or gold. It was about people reaching across distance, about footsteps joining one horizon to another, about the simple truth that we are always connected. As you drift deeper into rest, let these echoes stay with you, not as history to study, but as a gentle reminder that your own path, too, is part of a larger journey. The road still hums quietly within you, steady as breath, soft as a dream. You are listening to Historia, where stories linger like lullabies. Now, close your eyes and rest.